welcome to the Arlene Show. It's a pleasure to join you today. And today we have a special guest with us. Our special guest today is Mr. Steven Jackson. He is with WIBO, Workshop in Business Opportunities, a wonderful organization for business owners, one of which I'm a graduate of as well. I am your host, Arlene. I'm a life coach and a business consultant, which means that I help you to move forward in that business, project, or endeavor. So have you ever wanted to start a business, but you just haven't seemed to do it? Or you wanted to 10x that business that you already have, but you just don't seem to do it? Or maybe it's not business at all that's your goal. Maybe your thing is to write that book that you've always wanted to write, or lose that 10 extra pounds. We all know what we need to do. Walk around the block some more, eat some more vegetables, do a little less of the chips, but we just don't seem to do it. So what you need is a life coach. So Oprah Winfrey has a life coach. All the greats have life coaches. So if we want to move to that next level in our business, project, or endeavor, we need a coach. So does the coach have to be me? Not necessarily, but why me? Well, several years ago, I was a very successful, not just business owner, but I was working as a president of a chamber of commerce, and I got recruited clear across the country to be president of a chamber of commerce. And when I went, shortly thereafter, the new board hired a new person. So they didn't want me, and they fired me. Now, because it was a very public position, they were calling me from the newspapers all the time to get comments on what was going on. So when I got fired, my face was on the cover of the newspaper and it said fired across it. Guys, I was stuck. And then shortly thereafter, my mom passed away. And then I was really stuck because I watched her go day by day until eventually she passed away of an incurable disease. So how did I get started? I had to go to all the conferences, guys. I started reading all the books and getting all of the CDs until finally I had all the coaching and I said, wow, now I know the pieces of the puzzle to get back together. So I've written a book. It's called 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear, Getting Unstuck, and Achieving Your Dreams. And today we have somebody who knows about getting unstuck and achieving his dreams. And his name is Mr. Jackson. And he is the head of an organization that helps business owners to move forward. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to our show. Hello, Mr. Jackson.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Now, many of our listeners are business owners or people who are endeavoring to become business owners, and we're part of an urban community. And so I'd like to start by having you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you became a business owner before you were head of this wonderful organization that helps business owners to grow and expand.
That's a good question. And as I looked at it, I realized that my journey to being a business owner was so unique. I was an insurance agent. I was making good money as an insurance agent. And I had a client, these two gentlemen that had a $250,000 investment to start and grow an employee leasing company. And in 6 months, they had brochures, office space, receptionists, salaries, everything but a client. And they blew the $250,000 in 6 months, and they was out of business. And I looked at their concept, and I was like, as far as I was concerned, they was chasing the wrong market. And the president of the company, he said to me, well, if you get $200,000, you can go after whatever market you choose. And I was like, well, now he's daring me. And I was like, okay, it's on. And I decided I was going to start my own company. I went in, I resigned from the insurance agency in
So
that
it was
summer.
a dare. You started the company on a dare.
Yes. Basically, yes. The real truth is I watched two guys fail, and when they kind of dared me that I could figure I didn't have a better way, I was like, well, let's see what happens. And I found out about WIBO, Workshop and Business Opportunities. It was $49 for the workbook. I took the course, and I was getting through the numbers, the break-even analysis. I was wondering if I would need that same amount to start. But the difference with me was I learned through WIBO that it wasn't about what I didn't have. It was about the resources that I already had. So I began to when I graduated, I just got out there and really pushed forward and started. You have to forgive my co-star. Every time I'm on camera,
The kitty cat.
he is
What's
going
the
to
cat's
appear.
name? What's the cat's name?
That is Camper. He
Camper.
appears in every Zoom call I do. That's what he does. Uh,
He's trying to
so
upstage you there, huh?
I sent the email, a video email out to our donors, and no sooner I started talking, he did the same thing. Came in, sat down, and just looked at, and just left the video like that. I mean, when I'm doing workshops in the evenings with our participants, they see him as one of the classmates. So that's his thing.
Well,
But
I was one of your classmates as well years ago at WIBO. And
oh yeah,
I know that also in terms of my starting my business, I started it out of what I felt was a necessity. So I had moved to the area of the Bronx, and I had come from another area where I had a booming network of other business owners. But here I didn't feel like I had that. I was young, I was in a new area. And so I created my own organization. And we started finding business owners that wanted to join us and join the network. But we found it very hard, very challenging, because the powers that be at the time, some supported, but many had said, oh, well, this has already been done and it didn't work. I mean, somebody actually told me, a leader in the community said, it's already been done. It's not going to work. Like, what do you mean it's not going to work? You don't even know. How do you know it's not going to work? At least give us a shot. You know, so it's interesting that you started your business on a dare. I started my business just out of necessity. It wasn't like we said, oh, wow, you know, we're going to make $1 million in this particular venture. It was just, we wanted the camaraderie. We wanted other business owners who are a part of this urban community to come and support each other and do business just like we had seen in other communities.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of the people that come to WIBO start businesses out of necessity? For example, now we're going through a pandemic. Many people have lost their jobs already or are in the process of losing their positions. And others of us just need to be creative. You know, just be creative while we have those other positions to branch out and move forward and start something. So what is it that you think is the juice that makes certain people be successful at business and then others not?
One of the things
Let's say 90% of the businesses fail. So what is it that you think helps to make it move forward?
First of all, when people are working on their passion, they're using their passion to start their business of things that they love doing, the things that they're good at doing, the things they know they can solve problems for. That is a good start, because when you're passionate about your work, and you get to those tough points in entrepreneurship and growing a business, you're going to work harder. You're going to stick with it. When you start a business based upon, I want to do something because I like it can make a lot of money, you may not stick with it when you get to those tough parts. The second thing is understanding your mindset. So you talk about fear, and fear in entrepreneurship is a very big deal. So the first thing I know is that people think that fear shows up when your heart is racing and you got that cold sweat, or all those. That is one type of fear. But there's the biggest fear that prevents most people from really succeeding is the fear of the stories that they tell themselves, or the stories that they begin to believe and take to heart. So you know,
I love that part. You said the stories that people tell themselves.
Yes.
And the quote that I love to share is that if you do the same thing the same way that you've done it before, you're going to and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So obviously, if we want to move forward, press forward, do something different, that mindset that we had before that took us to that place is not the same mindset that's going to take us on the rest of the journey. So there must be something that we need to learn or adjust in order to move forward. And that's really where people get challenged, because we don't want to shift our mindset. We feel like we know what we know and we're doing based on what we know. So if we block out the new information, how do we ever move forward?
Well, we block out the new information because it's coming from a point where our brain determines it as something that is dangerous. So remember, the brain's number one job is to keep us safe, and keeping us safe keeps us in our comfort zone. Okay. Now, of course, nothing new changes within our comfort zone, but the brain says you will be safe here. Is when you step outside that comfort zone that the brain begins, whoa, wait a minute, this could be dangerous. It could be life threatening. Let's hold back. It's no difference than me when I started training to run a marathon. Same thing. Fear set in. Stephen, running 10 miles could kill you. Matter of fact, what are you running for? We don't, we're not hunting food and anything like
Mr.
that.
Jackson, you just hit the nail on the head. You said that many of us are in that zone of 9 to 5 work, or 8 to 3, or 7 to 3, because we are afraid of what's out there in the universe. This whole concept of business for some of us is new. And also for others of us, we've tried it and we failed. So statistics say that many of the people who have been successful in business, like myself, have started several businesses, okay, and failed in the past, 7 times in the past, and now this business is successful. There's a gentleman who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that book, and he said he had failed at business several times, 7 times before he wrote that book and blew up. And many others. If we look at Elon Musk, if we look at that gentleman who did, not Mark Zuckerberg, he's the Facebook gentleman, but I want to talk about the one who did Amazon. For so many years, he failed financially.
Well, he didn't fail. I would say he was learning. He was learning how to do it differently. That becomes the difference. We treat failure as this situation where you have fallen down, you're worthless, you're no good, you're unsuccessful, where technically a failure is no more than a learning lesson. You just learn some way that won't work, and you keep working on it until you find a way that works. I mean, it's no different than Lewis Latimer and Edison working on the light bulb, 1,000 ways that it didn't work.
That's exactly who I was going to mention. So, they asked Thomas Edison in a interview, how did you feel about failing 1,000 times before you were able to make the light bulb? And he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just knew 1,000 ways not to do it.
That's right. So if people start to shift to what they think a failure is and look more as to say that, okay, this way didn't work, I need to do something different and learn from what did not work and apply something different, then that leads to the road to success. Unfortunately, people get knocked down, and then once again, that fear builds up and they won't go back out because that conversation is going to come back in their head again. Well, remember, you failed at this or you failed at that. I mean, regardless of whatever you're doing in life, it's not just about entrepreneurship. It's about if you want to get healthy, it's about whatever that you want to do that's challenging, that requires a shift in your mindset. You must remember that your brain is going to be fighting against you. The number one, I asked this question since I became CEO of all the new orientations that I do. I asked the question is, what would you do if you were not afraid? And the number one answer to that question is, and then most of them say, I would have done this sooner. I would have been in this workshop sooner. I would have took full-time ownership of my business sooner. So that says that fear has been preventing them. And I asked that question because I want them to understand that you are here now, but fear has not gone away. It is going to manifest itself.
Mr. Jackson, the beauty is that people don't really have to quit their day jobs in order to start a business. So in terms of that fear, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to have absolutely no income. Like some people have done that. Like I've done that. But, it depends on your level of what you can handle. In other words, so some people can keep your day job, and when you finish at 5, from 5 when you finish in the evening until 12 o'clock that night, you work on your business and you start slow. You start a little bit at a time. You mentioned that someone had borrowed $250,000 or had been $250,000 in debt. But if we start incrementally in a business, it doesn't have to be that much of a scary venture. It can be something that you begin more organically. And I'm a proponent of organically starting a business. There's a guy, Mark Cuban, who said I know everybody wouldn't agree with him, but he's pretty much a maverick. And he said, anybody who starts a business and just borrows money arbitrarily without knowing whether the business is going to be successful or not is foolish. So start the business small and then make progress so that you can continue.
That's one of the rules in the workshop. We ask people not to borrow money until they finish the workshop because the goal is to learn how to use money. Not just to go out and borrow money that you have to start paying back the following week, and you haven't figured out how you're going to be profitable enough to pay back, that loan.
And that's key, because I would say of all the reasons why people do not venture out and start that little project, It's because it's a fear of money, fear of the financials. And so
Mhm.
also, if you're not in business now and you don't have a business idea, another thing that I recommend is that you hitch your wagon to somebody else's horses and partner with them. Partner with them and support them on their journey, because then you can also be successful in the business, even though that business wasn't your idea. So I use the example of Amazon. Everyone who joined on with Amazon for the 7 years while Amazon was unprofitable or not profitable, those people today are all millionaires.
Yeah.
So find somebody in your community that is on a venture that you think has value and support that person. You know, join our mastermind group where we have lots and lots of people who are embarking on a journey as far as their business or as far as their book and need support. Maybe it's just the financial support that you're providing for them to do the initial rollout of that book, you know, but there's always something that we can do. So either you're in the business and you're leading it, or you're finding somebody else and you can support them in doing it.
Correct. Well, I like to last add that what we understood the mindset. So we added to WIBO, since you graduated, the entrepreneurial mindset program, EMP. So we do what we call WIBO Warriors, where we get them to understand what those stories in their head are and how those
So
stories
I'm
are
going to ask
affecting
you,
them.
Mr. Jackson, to tell us about that in just 1 minute, because we got to take a quick little break.
Okay.
And so thank you, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned and join us back in a couple of minutes. Hi, this is Arlene of the Ask Arlene Show, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. Guys, we are doing a 5K challenge where we're asking you to walk 5,000 steps every day. During COVID-19, many of us are indoors. Many of us are not as active as we used to be, going to work, walking to take the kids to school. We're all indoors. And so we need to have a little bit of a boost and a challenge in order for us to become more healthy and become the best version of ourselves. So if you've been wanting to lose a few pounds, or maybe not, you just want to be as healthful as possible, join the challenge, guys. Go to bit.ly/Ask Arlene, capital A for Arlene, capital A for Ask, okay? And join us today for the 5,000 step per day challenge. Look forward to seeing you there.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I've taken 25 selfies in the last 10 minutes.
26.
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Hello, and welcome back to the Arlene Show. We're joined today by Mr. Jackson, who is leadership at WIBO, which is Workshop in Business Opportunities. And he's telling us about this wonderful program that he has where people can learn about business and formulate a business. And if you already have a business, but you need some more insight, this organization is a nonprofit organization and it can help you to do so. So Mr. Jackson, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, you were just about to tell us about the mindset portion of the program that they've added.
Yeah, so about 15 years ago, I got involved in leadership training, leadership development through my corporate mentor at Ernst & Young. And it was so powerful for me. It was experiential training. I sent my family and my daughters have all taken it. Some of my clients have taken it, as well as some of my vendors. And when I, for the several years, I looked at WIBO graduates and I said that the mindset program will be great for them because, we're serving people in underserved communities who are already battling many different things in their lives. And there's a lot of stories that's going through their heads that is not productive to them becoming a successful business owner. And I thought that
successful period.
Yeah, successful in life period, correct. So
tools and techniques are the same, whether it's I want to lose weight or I want to start a business or I want to be a writer of a book. Those tools and techniques are similar.
Correct, they are. So, and when I became CEO in 2018, I immediately sat down with my leadership partner, and she owns a company called High Five Leadership Training, and we wrote the course. We was getting ready to execute the first class in March of last year, but then COVID hit. Then we found a way to make it virtual. And the Entrepreneurial Mindset Program is a hit. It helps our graduates see those stories that they've been telling themselves that is not productive to their life. They get to recognize them. They get to change those stories. They get to change how they interact with the world, and how they interact with other people. They get to manage expectations. They get to manage how they put trust into people, and overall, it just increases their personal skills to the point where they are now more successful, whether in business or in personal life situations.
Okay, so Mr. Jackson, you know that this is near and dear to my heart, and I've written a book. It's called 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear, Getting Unstuck. And we have a mastermind group for people who want to move forward from challenge, hurt, pain, and now they want to start a business, or they want to lose the extra pounds. So one of the secrets that we specify is secret number 1, which is that secret about clarity. And then number 2 is visualization, visualizing the end from the beginning. Where do you want the business to be? Where do you want to be, so that you can formulate the plan to get there? A third step is momentum. And there are 10 steps that we've come up with. So my question to you is, give us one of the ideal tools that you're teaching people in terms of fixing their mindset, so that we can move forward and be more productive and successful in our businesses.
Let's say just take managing expectations. So, we hold a lot of people accountable for, well, it boils down to personal responsibility, but it begins like this. In managing expectations, too often I will put trust in you without any return on promise. Okay. So you come to me and you say,
trust
hey,
in you without any maternal promise?
Return on promise. Correct.
Return on promise.
Yes. See, trust is built from return on promise. Actually, is that the promise I make to you, I keep it. You therefore build trust in me. Too often, though, we blindly trust people before there is return on promise. So what happens is that you trust someone, they fail you, and now you feel hurt. Expectations were not managed.
Yes.
Okay, that creates hurt. That creates a person going back into their shell. And now they feel that everybody is going to fail them. So when they're growing, when they're attempting to start their business, they're doing everything themselves because they won't trust anyone else.
So let me ask you a question.
Instead of
when you went through your business, quick question. You failed at business at some juncture, or failed in something. What made you continue in the process even though you had failed?
What made me continue the process was I realized I was focusing on the wrong thing. See, in the first year of me growing my business, I wasn't making any money. I was expecting a new daughter. My 5th daughter was coming along as I was starting this business. And
That's a serious position to be in.
Yes, it was. The universe made certain to put me there to see how I was going to get out of it. And one day I realized, just having a conversation, when I realized what was the worst that can happen to me. Well, the worst that could happen if I fail in business, I filed for bankruptcy, whatever else, close it down, go back to work. That's the worst thing that could happen. I don't go to prison, a debtor prison or anything like that. So I realized that my mindset was focused so much on not failing. And so in understanding, what we focus on the most is the reality that we create. So if my mind is focusing on not failing, then everything I'm doing is leading me to fail because I'm focusing on the failure. So when I realized
the number 3 secret which was visualization, because you have to visualize yourself being successful at the other end, and then work your way backwards.
But
not focus on what you don't want. It's like when you're learning to drive. A lot of people are drivers, and they say when you focus on the rail, you're going to hit the rail. So instead of focusing on the rail, you don't focus on the rail, you focus on the road. Focus on what's in front of you and taking yourself directly to what's in front of you, not what's on the signs.
Correct.
You got to put on the blinders.
However, there's two parts to that, because you have visualized your success, but if your day-to-day tasks are not in aligning to you visualizing that success, you still will find yourself focusing on the rail and leaning more toward riding off the road, as opposed to the ultimate goal that you want, which is a successful business. And that's what I had to realize, that it was my day-to-day visualizations of me getting up and focusing on all the wrong things, all the wrong conversations, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to focus on income producing activities. This is what I'm going to be doing today, versus all of this other stuff that gets in the way, all these other negative thoughts that begin to drag me down.
Okay, so we think that many people who don't start in business, or who aren't supportive of their family members that are in business, is because they fear that the family member is going to fail. So it's not even the person who's in the business, but the people who are supporting or supposed to be supporting and around the person, who are afraid, legitimately so, that if that person fails in the business, then that wife, that husband is not going to bring in the money that they're supposed to and support the family. So how do you, because we only have about 3 minutes left, and we know that we have very many people who are business owners that are listening to us. How do you, and we've done a show about relationships, partnerships, we're not even talking about a partner in terms of your business partnership, but the people around you. How do you navigate those waters so that those people can begin to support you, or at least not support you, but at least be silent in the process from preventing you? Because a lot of wives, even who mean well, they'll tell their husbands, I don't want you to do that. Go to work, get that widget job and keep going, just because they're afraid that the bills won't be paid, or vice versa.
Well, see, that's the most important part, is to recognize the fear. So when fear, like I say, fear is present in some point, some form of fashion, and it's first to say, I recognize and understand your fear. However, I feel this way because I have XYZ skills. This is my passion. There are others out there who have been successful. And I believe that if we focus more on being successful, more than the fear of failure, we will be successful. What we focus on, it is what we're going to bring into reality. And that's a conversation. I know, I understand the conversation of not getting support, because most people do not understand the entrepreneur journey. That's why less than 10% of the population will become entrepreneurs, because they're the ones who are going to take the risk of believing in themselves, paying themselves what they believe they're worth, and go out there and say, this is for my freedom. We don't just start businesses to make a lot of money. We start businesses for a lot of other reasons: generational wealth, freedom, the things we want to do in life. So we have to be able to communicate that with others around us, so they understand that this journey is a really important journey to this, and to me or to whomever else that we're having that conversation with.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And I certainly agree with you 100-fold. There are very many reasons to be a part of a business, not just for the financial remuneration, but to gain generational wealth, to support the family, to support your community, because it's business owners that are able to support legislative initiatives. It's business owners that support the community, that pay the huge taxes. And I'm so concerned, I guess, about this issue of the support that we have for business owners, because I do believe that if we support our communities, business owners and business leaders, then they'll be able to move forward and be like the Mark Zuckerbergs, and be like the different Elon Musks and all the others who have started from nothing and moved from rags to riches. And even like we just had on the show last week, the Dr. Holdens, who is a lovely Black lady who has just crushed it in the business arena. Thank you very much for spending the time with us today, Mr. Jackson. Thank you very much for those of you who have listened to us today, and well as all of you who have helped us to put the show together today. Thank you, Mr. Gary. Thank you, Mr. May. Thank you, Mr. William and Mr. Daniel, and all of you. See you again, same place, same time next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.